Okay, today we are talking about simplifying weight loss into one key first concept. So this stemmed from a video that I did on everything I knew about weight loss, where I talked about everything I know about weight loss. And it was a very long video. It was two parts, probably like an hour in total. And it covered everything from mentality, diet, exercise, sleep, stress. And it was a lot of sort of theoretical and conceptual advice and or information rather. And I think at the moment it's so easy to feel confused and misinformed when it comes to weight loss. When you go on the internet, I mean, I've seen these videos of people like, you know, satirical videos where people look at advice from the internet and it's like, you can't do anything. It's like, you go to eat your eggs in the morning, it's like, do not eat eggs, blah blah blah. You go to eat your oatmeal, don't eat oatmeal, oats are really bad for you. You go to eat meat, don't eat red meat. You go to eat vegetables, but I mean, you can find advice from anywhere on the internet that tells you not to do something and to do something, and counteracts each other. And when you are trying to lose weight, or if you are struggling with living with obesity or overweight, and you're just trying to lose weight, get healthier, look fitter, you're not trying to have a six pack, you're not trying to look, ready for the beach. I think one thing that's missing is like, just give me one key thing to focus on from today, moving forward, and forget everything else for now. And a lot of the time you have to simplify things like that, because otherwise it's too easy to start something complex, read something online or watch something online which invalidates half of what you're doing, and then you give up, you switch, you see things that are confusing, you don't know if what you're doing is right. And so today, the one thing that I want to touch on, if you are looking to lose weight, the key concept for today, satiety. What is satiety? Fullness. Why is fullness such a key concept? When it comes to weight loss, one of the things that we've struggled with as a population, getting more and more overweight and obese by the year, by the day, is we are overeating. And this is not to say that obesity and this sort of obesity pandemic that we're dealing with is as simplified as we overeat, we're eating too much. It's definitely 100% more complex than that. But at the root of it, we are eating more. And there's a number of reasons for that. There is the environment that we live in, the food that is available to us. There's also an increased or a decrease rather in the quality of food that we eat. There's an abundance of food that there's almost never been before, and at our doorsteps, and all of that can be intertwined into your hormonal response to the way that you eat, your insulin resistance. We are becoming more insulin resistant generally. Your leptin resistance. So leptin is a hormone that affects your appetite. It's all intertwined. The environment. The amount of processed food, ultra processed food, the amount that's available on supermarket shelves. It's all linked. Fine, but for you watching this, thinking, how do I just lose weight? The reason why high satiety, high fullness is so key is because without that, it is so difficult to lose weight. So if you are not eating foods that keep you full at a relatively low calorie, and again, it's not to say that everything is about calories in versus calories out, but if you are not doing that, it is extremely difficult to lose weight, especially sustainably. So this concept of you can eat whatever you want as long as you're in a calorie deficit, or that concept is theoretically true, but in practicality in the real world, it doesn't really work. If you are eating an abundance of food that is high in calorie density, you will struggle to lose weight over the long term. Calorie density is the density of the food that you're eating, the amount of calories in the volume of food that you're eating. If you have a high calorie density food, that means that there is, for a relatively small amount of volume, you have a high amount of calories. These typically, I mean, if you want an easy example, like your junk foods, think chocolate, think crisps, small volume, high calories. If you take a bar of chocolate, whatever it may be, hundreds of calories, small amounts of size. When you eat that, and let's, for the time being, and I'll do videos on this later, forget about the fact that those foods, high in sugar, processed, whatever, may then stimulate an insulin response that then makes it harder and harder for you to lose weight, which then causes you to gain weight, which then makes you leptin resistant, which then makes it even harder for you to lose weight. Forget that for a second. Just the simple fact that if you eat a chocolate bar that is relatively high in calories, but not that high in volume, it is going to go into your stomach and not fill it up. You are not going to get the nutrients and energy from that food or chocolate, whatever it is, that you need to feel full, to feel energized, for your body to say, okay, yeah, we've had a good amount, a good meal. But you would have taken in a relatively high amount of calories. In contrast, a low calorie density food, as an obvious example, like your vegetables, let's say celery, broccoli, and this is not a never eat chocolate, only eat celery video, without a doubt, but so that you understand calorie density as an extreme example, celery, broccoli, almost any vegetable. If you take lettuce, a bowl of lettuce, a bowl of raspberries, a bowl of blueberries, they have a relatively high volume. I mean, if I filled up a large bowl of strawberries and you just ate your way through it, it's eventually a lot of water, a lot of fiber, a lot of volume, but to almost next to nothing calories. I mean, a whole bowl of strawberries will be less than 100 calories and a decent amount of space in the stomach taken up. If you eat those kind of foods often, so foods that are high in satiety, high in fullness, low in calorie density, often, if you eat those foods often, you are making the likelihood of you losing weight or the likelihood of you sustainably continuing to eat like that very, very, very high. If you eat anything you want, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, but the volume of it is low, you will likely be able to do it. So if I said, look, you eat under this amount, roughly 1800 calories, 1900 calories, although I'm not an advocate of calorie counting, but if you were to do that, and you ate whatever you wanted, you ate chocolate, you ate crisps, you ate junk food, burgers, chips, by the time you get to after a week or 2 weeks of doing this, you will just be so hungry, because your body will not see that food as food that's keeping it full, energized, and feeding it with the nutrients that it needs. And so it will start to pump out hormones that tell you are hungry. Your cravings will increase, your hunger will increase. Actually, your ability to metabolize and lose weight will also get a little bit worse, but different topic. But you will start to have almost uncontrollable hunger. And if you were in an environment where you did not have access to food, if you're on a desert island somewhere, there'd be nothing you could do about that. If you could only eat a morsel of food a day and you couldn't do anything about it, you would just lose weight, yes. And that's why theoretically that works, because you can just eat under the amount that you need continuously, and you will lose weight in theory. But in reality, in practice, it doesn't work, because when that drive to eat gets so high and so large, and you're in an environment which most of the Western world at least are in at the moment, where there's an abundance of food around you all the time, believe me, you will be in the snack cupboard. If you want to lose weight, you have to start picking foods that have lower calorie densities, that keep you full with a relatively low amount of calories in them. And what will actually happen is, if you do that, it is then easier to incorporate smaller amounts of the unhealthy high calorie density foods like chocolates and crisps at the end of a meal, because actually you still got the fullness. So it doesn't mean that this thing's bad and this is good and you should only eat bad food and never eat bad food and only eat good food. It just means that on balance, if you are majority of the time, 80% or something, or roughly whatever, majority of the time are eating those foods, lower calorie density foods, which lo and behold, most of the time are, yes, good, whole, unprocessed foods, you are then able to have something additional at the end of it. And and there is still a risk there that that there's an insulin response that then triggers more cravings, but it will not be as bad as if you primarily ate those foods. It still allows incorporation. It allows for experimentation as well, because you can then work out what actually you feel like and what you don't feel like, because your body's now full. It's eaten food without taking in an abundance of calories. It feels full, and you almost get to see what you actually feel like eating, rather than sort of being like slave to your hunger and just eating everything in sight, even if you didn't really enjoy it. You don't even enjoy those foods because you're just so hungry. So the key concept, if you are looking to lose weight and you're struggling with where to start, low calorie density foods that are high in volume, that keep you full, with a relatively low amount of calories in them. And it's going to be no surprise that these are things like whole unprocessed food. So obviously your meats and your fishes and your eggs, whole grain foods, whole grain carbs are better than the counterparts to a degree. Pulses, grains, almost all vegetables, certain fruits, especially your berries, all low calorie density. And I mean, I don't need to give you a list here. Literally Google low calorie density foods. There's even a satiety list. They have a list of carbohydrates, which tell you, the whole list I think is compared to bread, white bread. And it will give you a list of the highest satiety, so the highest fullness, which I think is actually the white potato. So the high, what can you eat that's going to make you feel the fullest? And you just look down that list, and some of them are actually quite surprising. I mean, there's no real shocks in there, but some of them are quite surprising. That's just for I think that's just for carbohydrates. I will try and find the list and link it in the description because it is quite useful to know. But essentially, if you picked foods from the highest satiety on that list, and then some vegetables, and then some proteins, and you made the base of your meals out of that, and then had whatever else you liked on top of it, you would probably lose weight, because those meals would be relatively low to medium in calories with very, very, very high fullness. So you're keeping yourself full consistently throughout the day, which then reduces cravings. I work for a company where we supply GLP-1 medications with nutritional support because we don't believe in the medication alone. And the way these medications work is by increasing your satiety. They make you feel full, and we're not doing anything different here. You want to mimic that. So if you wanted to mimic Ozempic, Wegovy, tirzepatide, these GLP-1 medications that are all the rave that everyone's taking, without actually taking the medication, you could do it by picking foods that do the same thing. Pick foods that make you full, keep you full, and have relatively low calorie density. You're therefore eating less calories with the most fullness, and that's the biggest and almost like most important key concept. There is an element of hormonal responses that I'll do in other videos, but it's the most important concept for weight loss. So before you look at videos on don't eat eggs because eggs cause this, and don't have oatmeal because that's inflammation, and this vegetable has this and these polyphenols, and this won't be good for you, and this causes inflammation in the gut, and this isn't good for your gut microbiome. If you are just plainly looking to lose weight, and losing weight is the key thing you need to do to get healthier. If you are overweight, if you are just looking to lose weight, the first thing you need to do is start picking foods that have high satiety and that do not increase your appetite. Look at the high satiety list. Google high satiating food, high fullness foods. Start building out meals. And even if you don't want to build out meals, just start adding those foods a little bit to the foods that you already eat or substitute. So if you're going to have a burger and chips, why not just substitute the chips for some boiled white potatoes? You can still have the burger, but imagine how much fuller you will be, and then how less likely you are then to eat chocolate or something afterwards, or a dessert afterwards, because you've had something that is high satiety, and white potatoes aren't that low in calories, but they're not too bad, relatively low in calories. Don't demonize individual foods. Don't demonize one particular type of macronutrient like carbohydrates, protein, fats. Forget all of that. For now, if you are starting out, this is your Bible, your religion for now, for today, for the next weeks, for the next months. Build a base off of that, and then we can start looking at other things to optimize and improve and help you sustainably and continue losing weight. But that's the key concept. That's all for today. I'm getting tired of speaking. I will see you all very soon.